Computer. Okay, I'm recording. Hello, everybody. Hopefully we're recording now, and we've got a few people still coming in. It's 6 o'clock here in Malani. Beautiful, I think it's Cubby in Jinnaburra country, isn't it, Kris? Hey, Git. And this is a demo of the version 2 Soundtrails builder, which I'm really excited about. So I think I'll probably talk for about 15 to 20 minutes about the actual builder, and then we'll open the discussion up for any questions. So if you want to have a chat with us while I'm actually talking, you can just go onto the chat down the bottom and have a chat with Kris. Kris is here, he's my developer, so he'll be able to field your questions. And if you actually want to go in on the builder and start playing around, I suggest you either have a separate laptop or use a separate screen, just so you can see what's going on here without getting too convoluted. Also too, I just want to let you know that we've started up a Soundtrails community forum. We're on Telegram, and we'll provide you the links with that before we sort of head out of here today. Okay, so firstly, a little bit of background about Soundtrails and where we began. We started off in 2013 on the back of a small community oral history project in regional New South Wales in a town called Uralla. And we were able to get a small federal heritage grant to build the app initially. And once we started building the stories of one town, we were approached by other communities to build in their stories as well. The idea was that people could walk in and out of stories on the streets, listen to voices, memories, sounds and songs. And it kind of built from there. And it also built based on the experience that I had as a radio documentary maker. So I was pretty keen on making sure that they weren't just fairly flat stories. I was interested in making them more dynamic and more sort of layered. And I guess I had quite a few tools of the trade coming from a radio documentary background. But version 2 Soundtrails is quite a different ballgame than what we started off with. It's really opening up now to a range of different kind of options, and it's opening up to anyone around the world. To date, most of the Soundtrails, well, all of the Soundtrails that we've built have been commissioned, but now we're opening up to things like licensing systems, white labels, and I think it's a much more dynamic and sort of engaging system. But I also want to point out that while we think the new version Soundtrails is really terrific, we're really happy with kind of where it's sitting, and we want it to be successful. The foundations of Soundtrails have come really with working with people in communities, in communities that I think would otherwise really struggle for their voices, their sounds, their stories to be heard. And we really want these stories to be quite timeless and to survive the test of time and the tyranny of technology. And we're also really passionate about the power that locative audio can have when it comes to connecting us to the world around us, the people, the places, and this whole idea of kind of memory and meaning making as we sort of immerse ourselves in the world around us. So I'm now going to share my screen. And yeah, Kris?
I want to interject just really quickly, and I think you'd wanted to sort of suggest to anyone who hasn't to download the Soundtrails app from the store now onto your phone.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone hasn't downloaded the Soundtrails app, I suggest you do. I'm just going to share my screen here and get rid of that and come into here. Okay, so here we've actually got the Soundtrails app at the moment. Can everyone see that? Kris, can you see that?
Yep, that's working.
Okay, so this is the app, how it's looking at the moment. You can see here we've got a menu system. We've got this way, you can look at it, the menu system. You can see the different Soundtrails there down on the side. And you can see that we've got the proximity to the Soundtrails. You can see that we've got which Soundtrails have been downloaded. You can also see if there's any favorites. You can search in the function here. So I'm searching Aboriginal, and you can see we've got a number of Soundtrails which come up under that. And then down here is the menu system, and this is where we've got, particularly here, we've got a couple of really cool things in here. We've got the Sandpit code, and these are codes which we use for coming in on Soundtrails which are yet unpublished or sharing them with friends. And you can see I've got 2 in there which are in the making. So that's the Sandpit code. We've also got a very nice little setting here where you can turn on hidden sound fields. So I've turned that on, turning it off. So that's the menu system. And then I'm just going to come back to the home. Then we've got a Soundtrail proper. If I start it, that's Nambour, which is just down the road from me. And you can see the sound fields there. And also notice the map. You can see that the map is actually sitting on top of an open street map, and it's lined up, pretty much corresponding with the roads and the parks and all that sort of stuff. You can't see here the hidden sound fields because I've got that turned off, but if you could, you would see broader perimeter circles there. I'm just going to click on a story here. This would be, where are we? We'll come in on the on June Upton. We'll come in on June Upton, and there's June. We can play this. I'm remote at the moment. I'm not on location, so I can't pick up on GPS. So this is just remote, and this is what people would see if they're out of town and they've downloaded. I can play it remotely here. I can also go between text and the photos. And if you're on location, you can collapse that. You can collapse the sort of the screen here that we're seeing, and you just get that bottom section down there, which is Queens of Nambour. So that's basically how the stories work. You'll also notice too that this story's gone orange once we've started activating it. So that there's 3 colors here with each story. We've got green, which is unplayed. We've got orange once it's been activated, and we've got gray when it's finished. When you're actually on the street and you're in that story and you've played it, if you walk back into that field after the first time, it won't play again because it's finished. But if it's halfway played and you walk back into it, it will finish playing. And there's just also a really nice button here for me, which is refresh, that resets it. And then if I come back in here, you can see everything's reset back to green again. So that is the app. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to actually talk about three sort of aspects of Soundtrails quickly, and then I'm going to focus in on the builder. And the builder is what we're looking at today, and that's where it's all happening for producers, for the creative people, for people who are working in the community. But I just want to point out, and I'll share my screen again, that Soundtrails has 3 different portals, and this is the website. This is the website that gives us the public interface with Soundtrails. Probably many of you have seen this before. And you can see here, if I just come into Soundtrails proper, that we've got basically, if you want to start building your own Soundtrails, you've got this button here to come in here. These are examples of different Soundtrails that we've now got operating. So we were in Nambour just before. I'll just come in Nambour here. And you'll see that there's a certain sort of pro forma for this page. We've got the title, we've got the outline of the Soundtrail, we've got credits and contributors here, we've got a feedback form, we've got photos down the bottom, but this is the map. This is where basically everything happens, and this is pretty much an emulation of what we've got going on from the app itself, where we've got the what we call the standard stories. So if I come in here, This is the same story which we were just looking at before, which is June Upton, the Miss Personality, 1957. And you can see you've got images cached in there. Notice that the images are squares on here, whereas these images here are landscape down here. And really that's kind of the pro forma that we're looking at here with the website. This sort of principles that we're using are working between the builder, the website, and the app in a very sort of uniform way. What we can't see here is we can't see the background sounds that are cached into the app. This is very useful. This is very useful for teaching, for showcasing kind of the projects that we've got going. And also too, one of the wonderful things is that every single one of these stories has a unique URL. So that means that they can be deployed on social media or used with QR codes on signage. So that's extremely nice in sort of executing a direct contact with that story in various sort of different ways. So that is the website. I hope that makes sense to everyone. That's our website at the moment, and that's our website for published Soundtrails. The other thing which I want now to jump into is the builder. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you straight into a published Soundtrail on the builder. And I don't want to freak you out, but the reason why I'm doing this, I just want to show you this is what a finished Soundtrail would look like. And here I'm in Walker, which is down in New South Wales. And basically this is where everything sort of happens. Now there's a few things to see here. Notice these toggles on the top left and the bottom right. And these basically will pull the map in and out. I'm not going to shift that now because I don't want to change it. But if I push that way, the map will distort. So the idea is we're bringing a map and we're overlaying it onto OpenStreetMaps. And then we're starting to add a variety of different hotspots, a variety of different sound fields. And you'll notice here on the right that we've got a list of sound fields. And you'll notice that they've got titles on them and they're in different colors. So the different colors represent whether we're making them standard stories, whether they're making them background or instructional. And each of those different settings have different, they've all got different settings. So I'll just come in here. This is the Soundtrails data. I'll just minimize that. This is the Soundtrails data. So on the website and on the app, you notice that there was both the title, it's the title there, and then you've got the the standard information here. I've also got credits and contributors underneath here. We've got the capacity to use HTML here, some basic HTML here. Notice also we've got landscape images here, which come with the broader sort of Soundtrail. And we've got a map. So that's the map that's then overlaid. So we're importing a map here, and then we're then calibrating that or bringing that onto the OpenStreetMap. Also got advanced section here, which has got ownership and where the material is stored. And then we've got the hotspots again. If I come into a hotspot, you can see that we've got here, we've got the set as a standard story, as opposed to background or instructional. You can see it's got a title. You can see we've got square images, which we can bring in here. If I want to, I could add description here. And we've got audio, which we upload here. That's essentially what a published Soundtrail for us on a commission, what we would be doing, what we would be looking at. And that's been fully tested, walked through, and we're pretty happy with that. So I've just thrown you into the deep end here, and I don't want to freak you out. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to look at how we would make a Soundtrail. So the place we're going to go to make a Soundtrail is called Soundtrails.tech. And again, Kris will leave some links here for us if you want to pick up on this after we're finished. So we're going to either sign in if we've already signed in, or get started. We're going to get started. You'd put your name, you'd put your email, you'd do a password, confirm that password, and then you will sign in. It recognizes me, so it's coming in. And you can see here, we've got a variety of different Soundtrails. Some of these are published, as you can see, and some of these are not published. You'll also see that a number of them now have codes on them. GTZY, SQIJ, etc., etc., etc. And these are ones which are basically in the making. And so I can go into any of these. For example, I was just in Walker before. If I come in here, then basically that was the one which we were just looking at, but I don't want that one, so I'm just going to get out of that. Let's go and now make a new Soundtrail. So we're going to create a new Soundtrail. We're going to give it a name. Aim test. I'm going to upload a thumbnail. And the images which we're uploading, guys, are all JPEGs or PNGs. The thumbnail is fairly small. I can also Aim test. So this is the one here. So if I want to, I can add tags here. This is for searching. Remember when we were in the app and we've got that search bar there? So if I want to be able to search this, if I want to have it in France or in Spain or in South Burnett, I can add tags there. And then we go into Edit Soundtrail. Now I've simply got to come into where I want to put my map, and I'm going to go to Nambour because I've got a lovely map which I can correspond to the site. So I'm coming into Nambour, which is my hometown. Now with maps, it's really not too difficult. If you want to, you can simply take a screenshot from Google Maps and you can just simply lay that on top of the background here. The idea is that this is all geolocached, so our map will sit over the top of that. So I'm going to go into Soundtrails data and I'm going to give this a name. I'll call aim test, and I'm going to bring in my map. And I've hopefully got a map here somewhere, Nambour map. And then I just make sure I've got that format there. And then I save. And then we can see that that map's now sitting on top of the streets of Nambour. And I've now got to line this up. I can see the railway line there. And I can see that corner there. Oh my goodness, I always struggle a little bit with this. Howard Street, all right, Howard Street's up there. William Street there. That's it. That's nearly it. So it's a little bit finicky doing this. And I would say that's not too bad. I would give it a descriptor. Testing live demo. I then add images. These are the landscape images. I'm going to add 1, 2, 3 images. Chuck them in there. Again, resize them. we've got those 3 images, we've got the map in there, we've got a name, and then that's pretty much the general material which we would add into a Soundtrail here. You would obviously put credits and contributors, you would have warnings perhaps on there, and then we into the hotspots. Now, I'm not really going to go in too much to hotspots today because I think there's a lot in this, but there's a few things that I'd like to point out. So we've got 2 different types of hotspot here. We've got a circle and we've got a polygon. In case you don't know, polygons where if you're going down a street but you don't want it to be really wide with the diameter, you would use something like a polygon. With a circle, circle's nice for background sound. So I'm going to click on the circle and I'm just going to go here. You drag it. If you want to move it, you click on the teardrop and you can move like that. If I want to resize that, I've clicked on, did everyone get that? I've clicked on here. I've clicked on this one and then I can resize it and you can see it's 126. So I can go 130 and it will just go a bit bigger here. And if I now want to determine what sort of sound field this is where I determine this here. I would say I'm going to say this one's background. And I don't need to add a photograph here because background is invisible. I might label it for myself, music. Music background sound. So then I would add audio, add some audio here. I don't know if I've got any audio. That's a mistake of mine. Let's just go hunting for some audio. .mp3. I'll just add some audio there. Audio is just going to upload. Hopefully that's not too big. Okay, the audio's in there. I'll just test it to see if it plays. Right, so some audio's in there. I would have preferred to have had some background music. Sorry, I just didn't have that on hand at the moment. I'm going to add now some images for, oh no, this is background. Beg your pardon, I'm not doing that on background. So I'm just going to save now all that I've done and just close that. And now I'll put in a primary story. So this is a polygon. So I'm going to click on that and then I'm going to add a primary story here. And again, I click on the inside of this box and it brings up the control section. I'm going to make that a standard story. This one I'm going to say is, let's say Bayards. Bayards is a store in Nambour. I'm going to add some images here. Desktop. Desktop. Why am I not getting those images coming up? Oh, there we go. Okay, so square. Just add some images there. Florence and her son from the movie theatre. Okay, so those 3 images are now added in. I will now say I'll give this when you're shopping at Bayards or something. don't know why my screen's jumping in down like that. And then I'm going to add some audio. Add some audio here. Damn it! I wish I've obviously lost this audio. Just to see if I can find it. Bayards, MP3. There we go. I'm just going to add some audio. So just have a quick listen. Can everyone hear that? I'm sorry, I'm not sharing. Sharing my sound. Yeah, sorry about that.
We don't hear the audio.
Yeah, sorry about that. So that's a standard story. If I wanted to bring in a transcript or some sort of annotated summary, I can put that in there. So I'm just going to save that. Okay. Now the last one that I'm going to add here. So I've got there a background sound field. I've got a primary story. So just want to let you know here, guys, that let's have a look at, actually, no, I'll just add one more. And that will be an instructional piece. So let's say we're at a crossroad. I'm just going to add this, and that will be what we're going to call a instructional, cross the road. Cross the road, don't get run over. I don't need an image with that. Cross the road is invisible. I'm going to add, let's see if I can find some sound here. Cross the road, are we going to get anything coming up? No, I can't find anything. So I'm just going to throw some audio in here. How big is that? That hasn't got it. MP3 here. MP3.mp3. Let's just go .mp3. 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 Oh, there we go. Aging of wood. .mp3. So I'll just put that in there. Okay, now I just want to explain what's going on here. So I'm going to call this instructional, which is to cross the road. And if you look at the advanced properties, what you'll see is that it's not visible. The area display style is not visible, or the audio visual. These are two different things here. This is, Kris, what's the audio area display style again?
So audio display style is whether the circle or the polygon will appear on the map or not.
Right.
Whereas audio player visible says if the actual player will pop up or if the audio will just play without you seeing the player and having the controls.
Yeah.
And we'll go into these, Hamish, we discussed in more detail in another talk. But I'll just mention quickly, the reason for kind of separating all of these out. An example of something you could do with this, if you made the area display style none, so it was not visible, but you did make the player visible, you'd have a situation where you wouldn't see anything in the map, but if you walked into that area, it would pop up and you could have pictures and text there. So you could create a treasure hunt style app, Soundtrail with that configuration. Yeah.
Also, guys, notice that it's got a number 5. So what we've done is we've configured these so that with, if you just use the settings that we've got, I'm just going to close that. So if you just use the settings we've got, the instructional one will have, if you go into advanced properties, will have number 5. The background audio will have, there's background audio here. If you go into advanced sections, that's got a number 3. And the primary standard story, if you go into advanced, that's got a number 10. So the way we're configuring it is we're sort of saying to, in terms of our algorithms, we're saying the standard story has precedence pretty much over everything. That's a number 10. And then everything from there on down has precedence over anything with a smaller number. So here we've got standard has number 10, then instructional is number 5, and background is number 3. So in other words, if you walk into the background audio, then that will kick up playing. Then you walk into the standard story. The standard story will take over from the background audio. Once that either finishes playing or you walk out of it, the background audio will then kick in again. But this one, the instructional audio, if you walk into that, cross the road, don't get run over, that will then kick in from the background audio. So they're the three main configurations that we've worked out so far. And I think we're kind of very happy with them. I think within that mix, there's a hell of a lot of room to sort of play as a sound engineer, as a storyteller. And yeah, that's basically kind of how it's working. Kris, have you got anything else you want to add to here?
I do, thanks. Just the, you need never go into the advanced properties. And so the instructional standard and background that Hamish has shown there, those are effectively presets for, the advanced properties allows very fine configuration on how the sound fields behave. But every story that's, we've ever done to date is covered off by those three presets. So that's probably all that you'll ever need. But there is the ability to fine tune further if there's a specific effect that you want, like the kind of treasure hunt thing I was just talking about.
Thanks, Kris. Okay, so I'm just going to save again, just once more. And then I'm going to come back to, I'm going to come back out of here. I'm going to get out of here. And again, now you can see we've got a code, Hamish test N3LC. So I'm now going to come back to, I'm just going to stop sharing, and I'm just going to come back and start sharing now the phone again. And I'll bring the app up. So that one. So hopefully we've got my phone coming up here. Do we have my phone coming up here? Yes, we've got my phone coming up. And I'm going to go into the sandpit, and that is N3LC. Open. And you can see we've got basically what we've just put in there. We've got those photos, which we put in, the landscape photos. We've got the text underneath, and we're going to download the app here. And you can see we've only got the visible file, which is the standard story, which is playing. If we wanted to see the background images, I'm just going to go into settings, and I'm going to turn on the background images. And I'm just going to come into Sandpit, come back in here. I'm going to open that up again, start, and you can see there, we've got the background settings showing there. So for testing, that's very useful for us as producers, as creators. We can see what we're doing and we can work out the configurations. So the creative sandpit, the sandpit here is going to be a really useful way for us to deploy the work that we're doing, to showcase it to people. If we're not on site, we can do work overseas if we want to, and we can get them to test it. So for us, this is a really important way in some ways of getting these projects out there to people who can use them in a variety of different ways. So obviously, all anyone has to do to be able to test any of these is they have to download Soundtrails. They go into the Sandpit code, they put these codes in, and then whammo, if it's outside their house, they can literally walk outside and they can start testing it straight away. So I think that that's largely me at the moment. Kris, I think you want to pick up now with just a little bit on QR codes and also embedding the websites. Can I leave it to you now?
Yeah, sure thing. Am I able to share? Let me see. Yep, looks like I can. Great. Okay, so there were just two details that I wanted to also demonstrate. One of those being the embed code. So what I'm going to do is I'll go into the same demo one that Hamish has just created, and there's this link here, preview or embed. If I go into this, we've got kind of a web view of what's created. And now the web view doesn't show the hidden ones, but it does, the story is there with the same images and the same audio to view. And what you've got here then is an embed code that you can put into your website. So for those who are familiar, I'll just very quickly demonstrate the Soundtrails.tech website is a WordPress website. And if I wanted to go and embed the Soundtrail that Hamish has just created onto a page on that website, it really, and any of your website builder tools, Wix or whatever, will allow this. With my thing here, I use this code. It'll be slightly different on different ones, but inline code. Now, hopefully I've got that right. And then if we view this page, no, I got that wrong. So it's coming through as HTML, which is exactly what I did when I did the practice as well. We want to, I'll do this, edit it as HTML. So yeah, whatever the method is, you need to just put the pure HTML in there. If I now update, no, I don't expect it, oh dear. I should have practiced this part a little bit more. This is my unfamiliarity with WordPress rather than anything else. Why is that not doing that? I need an embed rather than code. No, I don't want to embed a URL. I'm sorry, I should have just practiced this. This will work with embedding this part of the URL. Update that. So that's if it's done correctly as an embed, which is a very standard thing. And if I knew my way around WordPress better, I would have just pasted that in. But now this is live on the internet, and we've got the Soundtrail that Hamish just created now. So I mean, you can go to, I'll drop the URL into the chat here. And you can go to that right now, live on the web, what's been created, listen to the story. The one other part that I was going to mention, and I'll sort of mention it with a bit of a caveat in that this is it's not actually fully available yet, in fact, but that is the QR codes on the hotspots. I'll go into an existing Soundtrail. So this works for the standard Soundtrails that are on the website, but we haven't actually implemented this yet for all Soundtrails that you go and create. But with each hotspot, in addition to the standard properties that you have there and the advanced properties, we have this QR code. And the reason that we've kind of created this is there's various situations where this is preferable to just GPS. If you were doing an experience in a museum or art gallery, for example, you can come and print this QR code off and have these as the trigger rather than the GPS, and that will then link directly to the that particular audio file, or that particular hotspot, I should say. So
So anyone can just scan that QR code now, and you'll see it'll come up. It's just slightly wonky at the moment. Anyone can scan that now.
That's right. If you get out your phone and scan that, that will take you to this page with this detail. So QR codes is something that we wanted to mention.
It just needs a little bit more work. We're just not quite finished.
It's not all the way there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the only two things that I was going to talk about then, Hamish. Oh, you're muted. Hamish.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Yeah, so that's kind of a whistle-stop tour basically around the Soundtrails version 2 system. Would anyone like to ask any questions? Is there any comments? Are there any, anything anyone would like to ask at this point? Was it explanatory? Were we clear enough here? Everyone's muted. I take it that no one's got any questions.
So Kerry was saying, can you embed video? As it stands, video is not a part of what we've developed. If there is a requirement for that for a project that you're doing, we absolutely can add that in. But as it stands, it's just the audio and the text and transcript stuff that Hamish demonstrated that the platform allows easy allowing of.
Any questions? Jane, how did you go with that?
I found that really interesting, Hamish. I'm just thinking through the planning side of it. Like, obviously you've got your project pretty much planned out. So you've already saved your images, you've already saved your map.
Yeah.
So you've collected your stories, and then you can just slip it into this app. I think it's really exciting. I think it for small communities, which is where I'm coming from, where we would love to be able to tell our community stories, I think it's a real game changer.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
But, once you get started, I'm sure I'd have some questions. Like, once I got to trying to put something in there and go, oh, okay, how do I do that? I'm sure technically there'd be some questions, but at the moment it's a really fabulous opportunity, I think.
Yeah. So there's nothing stopping you now, basically signing up, playing around. I think, Kris, the way that it's available now, it's freely available, isn't it, for people to go in and start using?
That's right. Yeah, go to Soundtrails.tech. You can sign up there and start playing straight away. A couple of other comments. Thank you, Babak. I didn't realize that you were on the call, but I'm glad that you are. Now I see your icon there. And Fred, the QR code on the mobile, the pop-ups don't look great. There's a little bit of refinement there that needs to happen for sure. And that's high on the list.
We've got a big list.
We do. Actually, something I did make a note of at the beginning too, that's worth mentioning, that is on the list, just when Hamish was positioning the map on the thing, we do intend to support formats like GeoTIFF, so that when you import that, it's got the, for anyone who's working with cartographers, that's the kind of format that they would use when they produce it, and it's got that geolocation built into the map itself. We also have partial support for like tiled map formats, and when I say partial support, it means we've sort of done part of it. If there was a requirement for anyone to have that, we could bump that up on the large list of things that we're intending to add.
Chris Brooks asking a question.
So is there a way to prioritize what Soundtrail comes up on the user screen? So Kris, do you mean the list when they open the app? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm thinking so. If, here I am in Canada, and I'm not going to get to Nambour. So do I have to scroll down till I find, something I've added? Or is what I've done going to come up on the top? You know what I mean?
What you have added will come up on the top. Yeah, no, thank you for that question. I love it. If you open the app, it comes up with a list, and then after a few seconds, it will say ordered by proximity. Now that's much of a muchness for you on the other side of the world, but it shows the one closest to you at the very top. So for me, where I am, that Nambour is the first one, and I can see that's 18 kilometers from where I am. The next one is Nanango, which is 85 kilometers away. Jane, I'd be interested, do you have the app there, and what's the one that's closest to you that comes up?
Can't hear Jane, sorry.
Yeah, yes, Nanango is the one that comes up for me.
Yeah.
Nanango, then Nambour, then Nimbin, and then Tenterfield. So yes. Yeah. Good question, really.
But yeah, no, that's right, Kris. So we're quite happy with that. But yeah, absolutely, yours would be the first one that you would see if it's in your neighborhood.
Fred, you got any questions?
Yeah, you really want to target storytellers. I just have this feeling that it's really the field for storytellers. It's a tool for storytellers. And when I see this, I would like to imagine the possibility to write my script in a certain way, you know, and then write my script and plan my story and then create it. But the story is not planned inside. You do it in another document or whatever, but I don't know. I just feel it could be interesting, you know, to be able also to write your story on the editor.
Absolutely. Like this is a specific type of storytelling that's different to writing a book or just doing a piece of audio, and it is a real crafting thing. And you're right to, on one level, we've made the platform usable for almost any kind of use case. I mentioned treasure hunts. You could, you know, real estates could use it. We've deliberately made it so it supports anything, but the builder there is 100% tailored to exactly what the kind of story experiences that Hamish creates, which he's been doing now for a long time. And we've put into this exactly and made it as easy as possible the kind of features he wants for specifically that kind of immersive storytelling experience. And there's two very different ways of sort of approaching it too. One where it's very structured and you direct people along a particular path, or where you let them just kind of wander about in and out of what they want to hear.
Yeah, within those three iterations, the background, the standard, and the instructional, there's a lot of scope. And the presets too, the presets which are already in there. I think there's a hell of a lot of scope to craft material. I think for me, particularly working on commission, it's so important that the standard stories are stories that will last the test of time, and in 10, 20, 30 years time, it would be nice to think that whatever technology we're using, which is location based, these stories would translate easily across to whatever iteration it might be. So I think, you know, to the best of our ability, we've sort of provided something here which gives storytellers, you know, whether they're community people, whether they're treasure hunt people, or whether they're quality sound engineers, a really good solid sort of foundation to build that stuff. But again, you know, it's different than the algorithms of other locative audio platforms, but I'm really happy with this at the moment, really, and particularly really happy with things like the creative sandpit, the codes, the ability to embed the maps, the ability to take the maps and to be able to use any of those stories with QR codes, and potentially to be able to take that entire map and to put it onto a new platform. And for me, that's really important. Yeah, I like to think that the producers are the key people here. They're the priority, and the platform supports the production and the storytelling experience. Sorry, Kris. You're on mute. Yeah.
Oops, sorry. With the max file size, off the top of my head, I don't know. There's no kind of limitation as such in the app and the framework, but we have in the builder sort of put some limits on that. Look, off the top of my head, I can't remember. It might be 1 or 2 meg for a file and maybe 5 or 10 for an audio. We could change those. They're set in there really to stop or, force producers to be careful and deliberate about what they put on there, because obviously that affects the download.
.mp3 is the format for all the audio. It's got to be .mp3, and JPEG and PNG is the images. For most of the images, I'm generally coming in just shy of kind of 1 megabyte. And for the audio, sometimes depends on how kind of complex it is, but I'm very rarely going over, say, 2.5 megabytes for audio. I tend not to go over about 3.5 minutes with audio. I just think people get a little bit bored. And the background audio is just set on loop. So if I've got, say, 4 or 5 minutes of background audio on there, I can kind of get away with that. Yeah. Is that okay? Has everyone kind of got any more questions here?
Yes, maybe one more question, a tricky one. The biggest soundtrack I made had like 600 entries.
Oh.
Aren't you afraid for people like me that they would crash your system? Or is the limit in the entries you can...
Look, we haven't made one that big yet, but there's no... there's no built-in limit, so I'd encourage you to put it in. We also we've spoken about the STX format, so there is the ability to sort of create that and import it too. So if you've got existing works, we can bring them into the system without having to recreate as well.
Well, don't tempt me.
You're talking about anyway, your Mexican project here.
No, it was a project in Athens where we have actually filled let's say, a space between the 3 main squares in Athens, Monastiraki, Omonia, and the Parliament Square, with a massive amount of sounds, allowing people to create their own trajectory and so not depending on a predefined narrative, but putting so much in it that you could sort of puzzle together your own experience. But that was a one-off that we did. But I do agree with Fred that I think that the strength of your fantastic platform, and very well taught, very well structured, is indeed the potential for alternative forms of storytelling involving locative interaction. And as well, I like the fact that you have thought about the invisible entries, which can put in a sort of gamification, and which gives an approach to storytelling that is not straightforward, but can allow people to be surprised and to find things, to have an agency themselves in the box, not only consume. So I'm impressed by what you did, and you can feel that there is many years of experience behind both of you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I'm also excited about the game kind of aspect. We haven't yet used it for something like that, but I look forward to creating one. Chris Brooks also asked, once the trailer is published, can I go in and edit changes and just hit publish again? And yes, that's exactly.
Absolutely, yeah.
Change it any time, and it will pick up the changes once you hit publish.
Yeah, just save. Yeah, look, is that kind of a wrap? Or we feel like we've kind of got everything made transparent and the questions answered here? Should we wrap this up? Does anyone else have any more questions?
So
yeah.
I will just add then, if we are finishing up, and I'm just finding the link again, please.
Thanks, Kris.
I'd love for everyone who has any interest to join the forum. We've just created this yesterday, so there's not many in there yet, but this is the place where we want to discuss, make ourselves available, and
yeah, and build a community, and so that we can support each other, I suppose, in some ways. The other thing, guys, too, if you feel so inclined, please go onto the App Store or Google Play and give us a review. We'd love that. We could really do with any reviews at the moment. And hopefully we're going to get a bit of coverage from Apple one of these days.
Cool.
So thanks, Kris. Thanks everyone for spending your time with us on yet another online presentation, and we'll see how we go from here. Thank you, Kerry. Thank you, Emma, Travis, Lana, Jill, Michaela. Everybody have a beautiful evening, and we will say goodbye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.